Everyone, welcome to another episode of Coordinated. So, as you were seeing, we are covering a host of Gigabrains and great Eigenlayer projects in the past few weeks. Today, we have somebody who is building in the infra space of Eigenlayer, and I think you guys have must seen those ecosystem maps. And a few days back, also built on Eigen released a thread, like covering all the great projects building in the infra space and like today, like Naman, who is building, as he mentioned, in the space, in the infra slash Eigenlayer space. So, like, here, Naman, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Satyaki, for inviting. I've been looking at all the podcasts that you've been doing so far, and yeah, great to hear, great to share more about what we've been up to, and amazing job so far in terms of creating this entire awareness series on build on Eigen. Um, I I saw like couple of podcasts of projects that are still getting deployed and still under the hood. And yeah, good thing to cover them up so that everyone gets to know about what's coming next in the Eigenlayer ecosystem as well. So kudos to you on being consistent and pushing it out.
Yep. Thank you so much. I think the ecosystem like Eigenlayer and with the builders like you who are actually building the real thing, like real thing. I mean, ki not generating value from thin air is it. People like this should be in the limelight more, in my opinion. I think your memes and consumer things are good and nice, but you must like respect or give visibility to people who are actually responsible, and that's the entire initiative. And as I keep mentioning, I think Eigenlayer and the protocols building on it are very complex and technical in various senses. And the goal is that to be like create simplified stuff so that people can understand what actually the ecosystem is, because it's not only about restaking, it's much more than that. And also to cover up projects who are building on Eigenlayer. So I think yeah, I think again like thanks for joining, and we'll just quickly get started before we like start talking about all the things you have built. You haven't built only on Eigenlayer. You have built uh, infra protocol before that also. So like before coming into all the technical nitty gritties, just want to know like what brought you into crypto and when you came into this space.
Sure. So I'll talk about my journey very quickly. I ventured into Web3 in 2017. This was when I was researching on some initial you know topics like fully homomorphic encryption and multi-payment payment channels and multi-payment infrastructure out there. Built out a social payment extension which essentially incentivizes users on top of their e-commerce transaction. This was when SocialFi was a really boom. After that, yeah, tapped into Cosmos ecosystem. Got introduced to various app chains. I've been bullish on app chains myself. I started initially with learning more about Celestia and the entire modular architecture. And that's when ventured into Cosmos ecosystem. Was part of two different layer one launches. Um, we interacted with validators, node operators, and primarily the entire infrastructure actors out there that were responsible to maintain the chain security, governance, and participate in the entire block processing as well. Got very much inspired towards it. Saw it as an opportunity where what if we could run our own nodes? We could provide validator nodes towards certain of our LPs and partners and friends. Started that initially where we used to run validator nodes for various Cosmos ecosystem projects because it's pretty straightforward. It's all like templatized. All the app chains follow the same structure, so it used to give an opportunity for us to ensure that we are able to get the best performance out there and build out a reliable infra. And that's when we decided that how about we open this up for anyone to come in and participate as node operators. So not just restricting to a validator node or a staking grade infrastructure, but even like with all these DA layers coming up, There are variety of nodes that people would love to run, right? And that's when we introduced NodeOps. So, as the name suggests, simplifying node operators. That's how we made it, like simplifying the life for node operators out there. And started initially with Celestia, to just have anyone run light clients on the fly without worrying about wallets, without worrying about infra, having their own VPS subscriptions or having their own data servers or even having their own cloud accounts at all. All you have to do is just sign in, deploy, forget, and we take care of the rest in terms of maintaining, managing, operating, monitoring, and it's a non-custodian way. Like wherever you need to have certain keys been exposed or keys been required to do the setup, we hand over that state to the end user so that they can complete those operational processes, and we'll only focus on providing the underlying compute infra to them, underlying node infra to them. Started with that. It's been a year now since we have been working with various types of projects. So NodeOps is currently associated with close to 80 plus ecosystem partners, which we have either ventured in as a node operator or supported it on our products, which is called NodeOps Console, where anyone can come in and deploy their nodes in a single click. And yeah, we've worked with all of these gaming projects, depin projects, AI projects that are essentially bootstrapping their network, even if they are leveraging the existing rollup stack, but doing node bootstrapping or node sales in general. That's been a new trend in the market, which has been quite popular across all these ecosystem projects, and we've been the one that were the first node as a service offering for all these node sales based project, where all you have to do is connect your wallet, deploy and forget after that. And yeah, it's today as of date we are supporting close to 48,000 nodes. I'm proudly serving close to 35,000 monthly active users for last 9 months now. Um, we have worked with 60 plus protocols from scratch in terms of helping them to build this entire node software, build their roll-up stack, working with all these RAS providers as well, like Caldera, Altlayer, and ensuring that whatever it takes to provide the most simplified user experience for end user, where they just have a one-click experience and don't even know what's happening in the backend, but we give them a complete control of the entire node architecture and the compute. That's what we've been doing so far. And what brought us into EIGEN was, how about we now make
I
it
think
verifiable? Yeah.
I think like before coming there, I think there are I want to like touch on a little bit on NodeOps a little bit, because the thing is, if you because if we like dive into like Atlas like now only, because I think there will be lots of information which will be failed to discuss. I know
Yeah.
you're eager to talk that because there are many updates which are happening. I think something which happened yesterday we can all on touch base that. But yeah, I think before that, just want to know like what actually, I think you mentioned your affinity towards interop, modular architecture, and Celestia, but what specific problem you observed so that you delve into the node ops space? Like what the problem statements you solve? Hey, let's like build something like a one-click node deployment platform. The reason why I'm asking is I personally think the node operators and the validators, these are all like technical minds. I personally haven't seen people. I might be wrong, but this is what my observation is. I haven't seen personally any person, let's say, who is a developer also or a technical marketer is willing to run a node until and unless it's a airdrop speculation is there. But there are some people who are, let's say, very bullish on ecosystems, or like they are like, no, I want to decentralize the backend infra and all. So I think since you guys have built it, it's very easy to say, ki, okay, now anybody can build a node infra platform. But you guys are one of the original people who actually thought of, okay, you can deploy nodes in one clicks. So, like, what was the thought process behind all this thing?
Yeah. So that's a very interesting question. So I'll tell you how it all started. So, like almost exactly a year back, like we had this 15th of December was when like couple of our initial friends and LPs reached out to us and told that, hey, this there is a new project coming up called Games, and we have got these NFT licenses with us, and we are running it on our own server or on our system right now. But it faces downtime. We are losing on rewards, so we are not even able to monitor it, upgrade it whenever it's required. And would you guys be able to help us into it? And yeah, that's when we got introduced to this, and we were like, all right, how about we first support these guys because they were the major holders in this ecosystem, right? They got a huge chunk of these nodes with them, node licenses with them. And technically, the compute required for these is like very less. So it was from the compute front, from the supply side, it was not a big of a challenge for us. The biggest challenge which they faced was how do they maintain the uptime and ensure that they are able to get the best incentives for running these nodes. And that's when we came up and said that, okay, we'll maintain the infra for you, ensure that we'll give you 99.9% uptime. And yeah, you guys manage the rewards, you guys manage the financial layer. We don't want to get involved into it. We'll just take like a monthly subscription fee from you to manage these nodes. And yeah, that's when this one click node deployment hit me that how about we open it for the entire ecosystem altogether, where we just not only support one project, but all these variety of projects that might be coming in for the entire year or, upcoming years as well. But we'll ensure that, um, you know, we can maintain the supply side, manage the supply side, but, not at the cost of affecting the performance at all of these nodes. And that's when decided that let's just go out with initial set of projects that we know we would be able to support for retail to come in. So initially it was very private, restricted, invite only to certain friends and LPs and partners. But then we opened it up for retail where, all right, you come in, sign in with your email, connect your wallet if you need that NFT license validation to be done. Uh, if it works out, just pay the subscription fee and you're done. So that was the trigger point, and yeah, that's when this entire journey started to build out. Node as a service, and yeah, fortunate enough to work with variety of projects across various verticals, be it AI, be it depin, be it gaming, and all of these users actually are all retail. They're consumers who have got zero technical background right now in terms of what exactly the compute spec for these nodes are. They just know that, okay, I'm paying $15 to NodeOps and if per month, and if they're taking care of the rest, I don't have to worry because I can see the rewards and incentives for running these nodes are accrued in my wallet. So yeah, that's when it all started.
So like I have checked the platform, but like can we run Ethereum nodes and like Bitcoin nodes using NodeOps in a like a white label way, or is it already live in the NodeOps platform? Is some kind of facilities available?
Yeah, so NodeOps console right now we didn't support, of course, BTC at all miners and all initially. We did support BitTensor miners, which was like one of couple of subnets from BitTensor, which we were the first one to enable like a one-click miner, which requires a GPU setup, and then you just have to pay a subscription fee per month, have a I mean, BitTensor token in your wallet that fulfills the condition for you to be an active site, and boom, you're good to go after that. So we were the first one to introduce miners into that, but we had not ventured into BTC ecosystem as of now. Ethereum to run validators and all, yes, but because you need like certain stake in place and all, so we decided that let's keep it permission. So yeah, it is possible right now, but it's all permission and uh, access only to selected request only folks. So it's based on request, based on demand. Um, but on NodeOps console for any users, any public users, we've stick to a very selected set of protocols out there.
So like I these are like my curious question. So I have studied a little bit about how Ethereum node operates. Let's say the full node, archive node, and light node. I think if you run a full node, there's this block rewards, right? If you like, luckily, if your machine is selected and you kind of validate a block, you will get rewarded. I think that is the incentivization why people want to run a validator network. As you mentioned, and as I also saw in the NodeOps console, you support Avail, you I think you support Celestia and many other protocols. Just like want to know like how the block reward mechanism or the incentive mechanism works for this other networks.
Yeah, so there are variety of nodes, by the way, that we are running on the platforms, right? One is validator node that, of course, would, if you're following like POS ecosystem, you would need to have certain stake, and then you will start processing the block, and based on the block rewards, you'll start earning the incentives. In terms of light clients, technically, there are no like epoch based or per block incentives for these light clients. They're just um, you know, uh, essentially acting as like on top of a DLA. So you technically have no, hard restrictions or anything on that. But, we typically take care of ensuring that all of these like client based architectures, like, we support it in a one click manner without worrying about the incentives at all. Like if developers want to consume them, we'll provide access to them. They can interact with it. They can leverage it. So there are like RPCs nodes as well now on the platform. We're supporting, Movement Labs with their follower nodes and RPCs right now. Mm, One of the day zero infra partner with them. So it depends on the requirements that protocols have or if the users have, and based on that, we open it up. So only validator nodes or all these node sales based projects have got like some fixed incentives in mind. And we ensure that we are able to support these nodes on priority, and rest all. It caters to developers which are in the need for RPCs, in the need for like clients in terms of any of their, you know, dApp building or, application building journey altogether.
I think many developers they need these RPC providers, right, to like help in their protocol building system. Like, does like NodeOps provide those fronts also, or only to retail?
No, we do provide that. We are working with, couple of teams already, close to 7 to 8 different teams from Movement ecosystem right now. That would be leveraging NodeOps RPCs as well. Even before Movement, we were providing RPCs, snapshots, indexer services into various other L1s as well. So that's all. Anything in terms of the infra requirements, we do have support for that right now.
Awesome. I think another important question is, which I didn't kind of absorb by kind of checking the docs and all. Where's the compute for NodeOps is coming? Is it by the NodeOps team, them, or is it from the community, or how this structure is there?
Right, that's a good question. So, right now, if you look at NodeOps as an entity, like we've got 7 different cloud providers that are distributed, and we use an orchestration engine that takes care of deployments and scheduling of these workloads across these 7 different providers and its associated nodes. So it's kind of distributed, but still like very semi-centralized. And that's where we don't have our own data servers. We don't like, I want to get into those data rack side of maintenance and operations at all, but we would now be venturing into something exciting where this entire compute layer that we've built so far would now be decentralized as well, because yeah, there is a good amount of demand that we've captured so far, and we know our pipeline for next 1 year in terms of what type of protocols would be we be working with, and the associated demand for it. So yeah, definitely can't rely on these centralized providers anymore. We had one tiny incident like 2 months back when we were not even able to access that compute node on a particular provider. Although it was not down, but not even having access to it is a big risk, right? And that's when we decided that, how about we just bring in a decentralized set of compute layer, uh, incentivize it, and create like a very strong SLA enforcement to ensure that we are still able to provide the same performance that NodeOps is providing today, but uh, make it a truly decentralized and verifiable overall. And that is where we are introducing Atlas Network. So the entire intent to have Atlas Network as an underlying compute layer was the answer to your question in terms of why, where exactly is compute now and how it would look like, 2 months down the line. So yeah, that's gonna be the game plan overall, where Atlas Network would act as a compute layer to power various interfaces, not only NodeOps, but various others as well, eventually kickstarting an entire build on Atlas campaign altogether.
Awesome. I think that would have been my follow-up question, obviously, because we were slowly transitioning into Atlas. So, like, want to know from you, like, what's Atlas? And I think we got a little sneak peek, the motivation to build Atlas. What I have understood, I think it's kind of decentralizing the NodeOps compute layer. And we will come on later how Eigenlayer is coming and all these things are operating. But want to know, I want to get a deep dive, like what Atlas is.
Yeah, sure. So Atlas Network is our own orchestration layer right now, which is going to be providing the compute for all the, node deployments or any kind of deployment requests or workloads that come in. And yeah, we are launching it as an AVS on Eigenlayer. I'll come to why part of AVS at the later stage, but the ultimate business model would still remain same. Anything that requires a reliable compute, we would essentially templatize it to the fullest to enable a one-click layer on the platform on our marketplace. So NodeOps console is one of the interfaces that would be powered by Atlas Network. We would have our own marketplace as well that would have variety of templates and services for developers. And this would be in association and partnership with not just core contributors of Atlas Network, but an entire ecosystem that would bring in their own templates on this marketplace for developers, for node operators, for consumers, for retail, and even for teams out there if they want to leverage any of these templates. Definition of a template: anything that requires, compute for deployments, like we'll be supporting that. It can be a website, it can be a DApp, it can be a contract deployment engine, it can be a sandbox environment for protocols, it can be a node deployment template, um, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, very excited to share that we went live with incentivized testnet quite a while back. It was initially private and permission, but we opened it for public yesterday, and already got like close to 700, 800 odd users that are now participating on the platform. We've got 80 compute providers, which are, so in our case, a compute provider is not someone who can register their laptops and qualify themselves as providers. These 80 different providers are like reliable cloud providers and reliable compute providers that have got their own set of data servers and data racks been maintained somewhere, and they're coming in with a huge amount of compute supply to us. So yeah, excited to kickstart onboarding for these providers as well, and ensure that we are able to actually bring in the entire demand that we have so far from not just NodeOps perspective, but now this new marketplace perspective as well, and orchestrate it on these compute providers and have like a strong economic engine been created. So yeah, that's a very high level overview about what Atlas Network is.
Okay, I think we are going to technical trenches now, but if I sum up what we discussed, correct me if I'm wrong. So we have all these blockchains or all these decentralized networks, which needs this node service at various ends. The process is complex and all these overheads are needed. Comes NodeOps, where it kind of simplifies the entire process. Whatever blockchain nodes you need to run, hey, come to NodeOps, click one to few buttons, and you will get. If you want to get rewards and all, you will just connect your wallet, you will just get in there. And with just 1 to 2 clicks, you can start with all those like node operation journey. Now you saw, okay, there is a problem of kind of centralized compute, because those can be down or those can be inaccessible at certain moments, and with other centralized issues which all the crypto ecosystem are aware of. There comes, I think, the Eigenlayer impact, which is kind of giving you the operator set. Correct me if I'm wrong, and you are kind of renting out the operators because you being a AVS will obviously rent out those operator sets, and those kind of will run the Atlas AVS layer. And I think the NodeOps will be a front facing of that or some other integrations or some sort of that. Now, the ultimate goal is same. Hey, just come and run a node with us simply, but it comes with much more security and with much more uptime guarantee. Is it something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've got the problem statement very clearly mentioned and highlighted, and the solution is exactly that, where we would now have these AVS operators responsible for various tasks. One of them would be to have this workloads been scheduled on a right compute provider. So this scheduling algorithm requires certain factors. One is, of course, if that provider has got that amount of compute available with them. Second is, are they adhering to a certain SLAs? We call it node score. I'll come to this at a very later stage, but to not get too technical, node score is like a very unique metrics that we are deriving right now for every machine on the platform. So I'm not saying every provider, but every individual machine or every individual compute unit that comes on the platform, they are associated and have a derivation of a particular node score. So based on the benchmark of the entire infrastructure, based on the entire compute pool of Atlas, if you fall below that benchmark, you would be slashed heavily. So of course, operator slashing is something that AVS is going to take care of. But for compute provider slashing as well, operators would be responsible to ensure that these guys stick to a certain benchmark, stick to a certain SLA, and no better approach than what Eigenlayer itself has set so far in terms of having tasks been defined in such a way. So that's why we'll be leveraging entire verifiable compute. We call it verifiable compute. The reason being this entire compute onboarding from every provider would be taken care by AVS. The entire orchestration of these compute providers would be taken care by AVS operators itself. And the entire payment economy on this marketplace. So users would come in, sign in, they can pay in stables. Of course, I won't like talk about the token part right now, but yeah, the marketplace fees would be captured in our own native token. That's where the entire economy comes in. And the payment verification, the revenue split, the reward split, all of it would be managed by AVS itself, right? So the way we have structured it out, I'll come to that at the later stage. But yeah, that's where the entire AVS angle comes in, to ensure that every compute unit that comes on the platform sticks and enforces to a certain SLA, is beyond the benchmark, is adhering to the benchmark that's been set for node score to maintain for that compute unit, and then orchestrate and schedule the demand or deployment or workload, whatever you want to call it, on those machines. And this entire scheduling algorithm would be handled by AWS.
Uh, I think one question which like many people within Eigenlayer community or beyond also, like people are kind of semi-confused or kind of ask these questions a lot. Ki why, what extra Eigenlayer is enabling? Like this node network, this node marketplace was there before. Like you could have rented marketplace of node from any time. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have understood, and I think why use cases like Atlas and all this are becoming more important is this clashing condition, right? Because you are now able to penalize or kind of gamify this entire off-chain compute thing. Let's say this SLS and all this node operator metrics, which is very specific to what you are solving, wasn't possible before with some random marketplace. Now with the model which Eigenlayer has designed, which I think you will be obviously more aware of how the entire backend architecture is what Eigenlayer is enabling, and we can play also at the compute level. Is it like that or something else which you want to add? Like how this entire Eigenlayer thing is kicking in?
Awesome. So certain things that, led us to take up the call that we would need, um, you know, Atlas to launch as an AWS. Firstly, Shriram always talks about this verifiable SaaS concept, right? I personally relate to it a lot because if you look at what we've done so far from NodeOps perspective, it's traditionally a SaaS. It's as a service. The service that we are offering is nodes. So nodes as a service, that's what we call it, NAS. So moving from that centralized SaaS architecture to a decentralized verifiable SaaS is what Atlas is all about and is why we wanted AWS to come in. Now, if you break it down, like I won't get into why verifiable SaaS because Sriram has already talked about it a lot. But one thing that I absolutely related to was, all these nodes today, if you look at it, like the huge dependency of maintaining the infrastructure, maintaining the reliability, the monitoring of nodes, and also like the entire order management. This entire orchestration right now is centralized, been taken care by NodeOps as a single entity, right? And as we look forward right now, having almost 50,000 nodes under management is not an easy metrics to maintain, but team is taking care of it. But how about we bring in some more stakeholders from the ecosystem and ask them to take care of certain aspects and incentivize them, and that's where there are four stakeholders that we divide the entire Atlas ecosystem into. One is node operators. When I say node operators, this includes people that are going to deploy the nodes with us, like the end user that would be coming on the platform. Eigenlayer operators, that's second, which would be responsible for various aspects which I talked previously, but at a high level, the entire orchestration engine would be run by these AWS operators. Um, Slashing enforcement of compute providers plus slashing enforcement of their own entire operator set would be taken care by these operators. Third important actor is compute providers, right? So compute providers today, we are restricting that onboarding of compute providers to anyone who has got like either a compute with a heavy amount of compute in terms of data servers or something. And we don't want to open up the door for just like someone with this laptop to come in and register themselves as compute provider, because technically the type of business and use case that NodeOps is into or Atlas Network is going to support, you need a reliable compute. I don't want to end up at that stage where, if a workload is scheduled on a particular machine and it just goes down, the chain might also be affected, because we are kind of the leading market share there. So the intent is these compute providers to be fully adhering to certain standards and all of it been part of the AWS ecosystem. Fourth, and the most important one would be bringing in that economic security. And that's where risk-takers would also come in and participate and improve the entire performance as well as economic security and, ensure that we have a good amount of, TVL in place that can ensure that the compute under management, assets under management, nodes under management, all these North Star metrics that is going to define Atlas Network is, absolutely best in the market. So these are the four stakeholders that we would be focusing on as a whole. And Eigenlayer sits right at the center to ensure that all of these four stakeholders, are in consensus, are in you know, conjunction with whatever revenue split we have to do. So we would technically we've tested it out right now, we'll technically be the first AWS out there that's going to do like a direct revenue share per order. So imagine that a user is paying $100 on the platform to subscribe and buy something. Will literally have that $100 been split out to these four stakeholders on that order itself. So it's not per block, per epoch, nothing. The revenue split would be per order. And that's going to change the game entirely because we want to make this a very sustainable economy and heavily incentivized, but heavily slashed economy as well. So compute providers would have to maintain a certain stake to ensure that workloads are deployed on them. They stick to an SLA. If they don't, those stake would be eventually slashed. And of course, operators and the entire slashing mechanics that Eigenlayer recently introduced as well.
I think we have been nerding for the last 10 minutes and pretty detailed technical conversations. With like you mentioned, I was just trying to wrap my heads around it. Many things which you mentioned are like very new to me also. And I need to now do my own research and come up with my own opinions and thought. I think want to quickly jump to some fun things about the deep in space and the entire infra space. I think there are many people who are kind of talking about here. There might be a entire meme economy or entire speculation economy on compute power. So since you have been involved in this space for a long time, I think a significant amount of time in your crypto career, want to know like, is it a possibility like now we are betting on AI agents? Can we bet on the compute or proof of location and all the deep in metrics? Is it a feasible thing and like how people can speculate on that and can be a market which can be built around that?
Yeah, interesting question. Look, uh, you saw how AI agents suddenly got like insane traction in last couple of months, right? And we've been internally looking at how we can further leverage on that as well. With the entire, like, I won't deep dive into it, but the actual engine, this entire orchestration engine is actually powered by various set of agents as part of our architecture. But to answer your question, I think Deepin is that one vertical in crypto that has got a real business use case. It has got an actual consumption out there as well without speculation. You know, chains would run, all of these blockchains, all of these dApps, all of these protocols, they are going to run forever, even if they don't do business, but they're still going to be active as long as they're not sunsetting it, right? And to ensure that they have the uptime and a very performant efficient infra out there, you definitely need a reliable compute layer. You definitely need certain set of infrastructure partners on board that can take care of ensuring that you have what it takes to take it to the next scale. And that's where this entire deepen economy also comes in hand. And yeah, like personally, I'm super excited to see how 2025 is going to look like for the entire deepen space. I still believe it's too early to, you know, judge a particular protocol or, define the success of any particular deepen project, because the important metrics to look at is what are you actually running on these compute. If AI workloads, yes, but where are the end use cases that consumers are actually, using that is deployed on these workloads, right? I believe that the maturity state of uh, that readiness for these deepen projects is gonna take some time, but it's already a setting stone. We've seen so many projects right now out there that have got a strong set of supply being bootstrapped, a decent amount of demand coming in. The sooner we like create a benchmark or a framework to enforce a strong SLA, enforce a strong flashing on these compute, the quicker we get the wider adoption and mass adoption as well. Like that's my take, and that's what Atlas Network is purely going to focus on to ensure that, yeah, on day one itself, we should be able to migrate this entire 50,000 nodes that we've deployed so far towards this decentralized set of compute, but not at the cost of affecting the performance of the network, not at the cost of affecting the end user experience, and not at the cost of making it like non-reliable infra at all. Because yeah, we want to ensure that compute providers stick to certain SLAs and certain node score. So aggressive research is currently in progress for this node score derivation and all from our end. And yeah, like 6 months down the line, when we'll talk again, you'll definitely see Deepin as the hottest, um, topic in the market. It already is, but then you would have use cases and applications been powered by this entire Deepin compute, and that's where the game would entirely change.
Cool. I think we'll happy to have a conversation because I'm seeing a lots of Atlas updates which are coming. I think before going to that and updates and the roadmap, one thing I want to know. I think you guys, I am unsure the node token, is it live or it's yet to go live? But want to know the information on that, what the status of the node token is. And I saw node token as an important contribution in the Atlas, like an incentivization system. So if you like give us a overview of that, like how status of node token and how it's kind of coming in the Atlas network.
Yeah, sure. So Node as a token is going to be the underlying economics of the entire Atlas network ecosystem. When I say ecosystem, it's not just Atlas network marketplace, it's not just NodeOps console, but any interface that is going to leverage the compute layer of Atlas would have Node as the native token for all the activities to be done. What are the activities that would be happening on the platform? Of course, it's a marketplace, so every purchase, every deployment would be, paid. The fees would be paid, the subscription would be paid in no token on the platform. We would be following a credits approach for that, where users would have to acquire dollar value worth of credits associated with no tokens. These credits would be consumed on the platform, just like a typical service out there. Of course, you can stake and restake um, Node as well very soon once we go live with it. Those are other utilities that would be coming in, where you compute providers would have to stake certain amount of Node token to be an active set. We would enable restaking for it as well, so that you can also restake and have have a contribution towards the entire economic security as well. Apart from that, the entire point system that we ran today. So we had a very good loyalty system on board already for NodeOps console, which worked, I would say, really nicely for every users that came on the platform. So we had around, close to 50K users, unique users in last quarter, and 25K to 30K monthly active users out of it. And we've distributed around 12 million, 11.4 million to be precise, node points to them. And the way we distributed it was like every dollar you spend on the platform, you received one node point. And one node point been converted to some XYZ token as part of our fair drop campaign. And that was our Wave 1 points program, which ensured that early users who have been constantly consuming NodeOps console and being our active supporter, user, as well as, our contributor as well, they get an early upside into it. So Wave 1 points program was concluded and the respective uh, airdrop or fair drop was done to them. Wave 2 points program is where we introduced a novel mechanism to also spread the word about Atlas Network and in form of quest and campaigns and just gamify it a bit more. And that's what went live yesterday. So if you go to testnet.atlasnetwork.xyz, you can participate in quest. What are these quests? It is as simple as registering your wallet to requesting a faucet token, uh, to as complex as setting up your own compute provider, onboarding your own set of machines, registering yourself as an EVS operator, deploying the nodes. On every deployment, you start earning a node points. We call it NPs now. So Wave 2 points program is going to be NPs, and these NPs, of course, because it's incentivized testnet, would be you know co- converted into token allocation as well in Node. And Wave 2 points program would be active for next couple of weeks. And we intend to ensure that we provide as much opportunities as possible, as much offerings as possible on Atlas Network Testnet before it actually goes live with mainnet. And, ensure that everything as a utility for this entire economy that we are trying to create can be simulated and can be consumed on the testnet itself. And that's why we're going to unlock majority of the utilities even before token goes out in the market. So right now, people have received the token, but it's non-transferable, it's locked. And it's not liquid in the market. You cannot trade it anywhere at all. So, but yeah, you've received it. Very soon we'll kickstart staking. Very soon we'll kickstart node to be accepted as a payment mode on our interfaces. And people can buy the subscriptions, deploy the nodes, deploy the templates using node token itself. So yeah, that's a very high level overview about the token. And yeah, you'll see the economics of it dropping out very soon. Uh, we've taken good amount of time to simulate it. Team has done tremendous job in validating it with our current business use case to ensure that it remains sustainable. And yeah, like as I said, we'll actually be the first one to do it. As far as my knowledge goes, we'll actually be the first one to provide, you know, a revenue bin going out directly to ABS yield, and this is for order direct revenue share rather than capping it up or keeping like a steady inflationary model for it. All of it is like kept away. More demand we have, more revenue we generate, and there's more revenue share for all the four stakeholders that I talked about.
I think in the entire like the network and the token framework, I think, are you using the Eigen token in some aspect or that you haven't thought of as of now?
You would very soon. Won't talk too much about it. But the entire economy of Atlas Network, you would see that been simulated on this testnet itself. So the entire utility consumption, all of it would happen, very soon, even before we go out with all those listing stuff and all. So the utility of these entire token would already be out in the out on the marketplace, and yeah, you will see all the consumptions of it happening.
I think awesome. Like I think we got a very gist of what NodeOps is because it's actually complex. I think Deepin as a subject is very complex because it involves both the heavy loading hardware and the software. I think we just got a 1% or 0.1% of what NodeOps is actually in Atlas in this like around 50 minutes. I think it's good as a starter. We can obviously jam in like after the new year, and when I think I'm sure many new updates are going to come from Atlas. I'll keep my eye out, and we can have you again and talk in detail about the various things which are coming up next.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to have your feedback to check out testnet. Testnet.atlasnetwork.xyz. You would be able to see like 10% of what is going to come in next 2 months on it. So feel free to play around with it, start accruing NPs. It's all incentivized, and I look forward to hearing some more feedbacks from the community as well. And yeah, like super excited for what's coming next from our end.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks, Naman, for doing this, and wish you all the best for your like upcoming launches and everything with Atlas and NodeOps.
Thank you so much for hosting me as well, Satyaki. Once again, like you've been doing a great job so far, consistently. It takes efforts and cuts to keep that consistent enough to ensure that you're able to. But I've been following your podcast for a while, so thanks for having me here, and wishing you the best as well for coordinated. I'm sure like 2 to 3 months down the line, this would be one of the most hottest podcasts out there to learn everything about Eigenlayer ecosystem.
Awesome. Thank you, and thanks for all the good wishes. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Bye.